Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to Season 2 of It Came From the Sump, our series dedicated to the Necromunda Community Event, co-hosted by Dr. Drybrush and myself. It Came From the Sump is a vehicle-based narrative Necromunda campaign set in the hellish depths of the Sump Sea of Necromunda. And on today's video, we're going to do a couple of things today. The first thing we're going to do is talk about exactly what the opening rounds of week number 3 for the community event campaign looks like, what the 7 gangs are participating on my channel. At the same time, I'll also give you some information about what the campaign week's complications as well as bonuses are for this campaign week as well. So as you guys can see on the screen, this is the week 3 campaign data for all 7 gangs that are participating in this campaign series. So as you can see, we have 7 gangs that are participating in our campaign. In first place is the Deep Ones of the House Delac, played by my friend Big Puka. He's got 2 wins, 1 loss, and a gang rating of 1,955 points. In second place come the Pale Horse Posse of House Orlok, played by my friend Iron Major, with only 1 win and 0 losses, with a gang rating of 1,265 points. He didn't actually participate last campaign week because his gang was actually on a bye week. And the reason why is because we have a number of gangs in our campaign. In third place is Snow White and the Wild 7 of the Venators, played by my little sister the Kiddo, with 1 win, 1 loss, as well as a gang rating of 1,955 points. In fourth place are the Everdamned of the Corpse Grinder Cult, played by Dark Lord Mac, with 1 win, 1 loss, as well as a gang rating of 1,935 points. In fifth place is my gang, the Rusty Nails of the Slaver Outcasts, with 1 win, 2 losses, and a gang rating of 1,920 points. In sixth place are the Sump Spiders, played by my sister Shade, which is a Spyrer Hunter gang, with 1 win, 0 losses, as well as a gang rating of 1,680 points. And in seventh place are the Velvet Privateers of House Van Sar, played by my Ready Warlord Ace, with 0 wins, 2 losses, and a gang rating of 1,765 points. It should be noted that the Sump Spiders during week 1 of our campaign was their bye week, so they did not participate at all that week. And in our current campaign week, week number 3, my gang, the Rusty Nails, will be in a bye week as well. But I have some little information about that and how that's going to play out with this campaign week as well. And currently, here's the loadout right now for our current week 3 of our campaign data in terms of Dominator, Slaughterer, as well as Creditor, Warmonger, as well as Power Broker. In terms of Dominator with the most territories, right now Snow White and the Wild 7 are leading now with 3 pieces of territory. For Slaughterer, which is the number of wrecks and kills the gang has earned, the Pale Horse Posse is definitely leading now with 12 kills in total. And the Creditor, which is the overall gang rating for that one, the Pale Horse Posse are also in the lead for that triumph at 2,165 credits. For Warmonger, there is a first place tie right now between the Rusty Nails as well as the Deep Ones. Both of us have actually played 3 battles in our campaign. As for Power Broker, the Deep Ones are currently leading now with 15 points of reputation. And as you can see, my gang, of course, is orange highlighted because this is my bye week. However, though, I will be participating in this campaign even though it's a bye week, and I'm going to talk about exactly how I'm going to be able to do that with this campaign week's complications as well as boons. So for week 3 in our campaign, the boon that's taking place is Low Tide. That is a Sump Sea event that is in place, which means that anybody earns an additional D6 times 10 credits whenever they collect rewards from a campaign, from a scenario this week. As represent the fact that the Sump Sea is in a low tide, so it's bringing a lot more treasure and ruins out to the surface that you can kind of pick clean for valuables, and of course sell them in the sump as well. And for the complication this week, we have the Slaughter Stalker, which is the unique campaign complication that Dr. Drybrush created a couple weeks ago on his channel. Basically involves actually a gang hunting down in a solo play mission, hunting down the Slaughter Stalker, which is a reptilian creature that lurks in the depths and shadows of the Sump Sea. Now, because it's a solo play scenario, I thought it'd be kind of cool if my gang, the Rusty Nails, actually did that scenario, since I'm supposed to be on a bye week anyways. So that means I'll be playing this on a solo mission against the Slaughter Stalker to see if my gang can actually hunt it down. And that's going to be the overall information containing about the beginnings of week number 3 of our campaign. So now that we're done talking about our campaign information, let's get directly to the battle report. So just in case if Mark Morrison's Return of the Mac did not give you the hint, this game is fought between my 2 friends, Shade as well as Dark Lord Mac. Whenever I do a battle report Dark Lord Mac, I always play Mark Morrison's Return of the Mac because that's his personal theme song. I know, we're a bunch of nerds. but you'll love us. Alright, so my little sister Shade, she's bringing the Sump Spiders once again, her Spyrer hunting party, as she launches a trap scenario directly against Dark Lord Mac with his Everdamned, which is a corpse grinder cult. These two gangs will be throwing it down in a trap scenario, with the Sump Spiders actually being the attackers in this scenario, with the Everdamned being the defenders. So with that being said, we're going to play some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we'll show you photos as well as statistics and characteristics for all the gangs and all the fighters participating in the scenario, and we'll be right back after this. And because the video is a little bit more of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps in the description box down below so that we can click and navigate to the part of the video that interests you the most.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
So the scenario we're playing for this one is the Trap, the battlefield conditions that we're playing on a square, basically a 5-tile Zor Mortalis table that's shaped like a giant cross. For the deployment on this one, the Everdamned are located directly into the middle of the table, while the Sump Spiders are located around the periphery of the tabletop as well. Pretty much Dark Lord Mac divides up his fighters into groups of 2 or more fighters and basically deploys one of his groups in the dead center of the tabletop within 2 inches of it. He then rolls off a d6 for each of his other groups. If they manage to roll a 6 up, they can deploy anywhere on the battlefield and at least away from anywhere within 6 inches of the edge of the tile squares. Otherwise, he has to put right directly into the middle of the table. At the same time, Shade, she can actually deploy her fighters anywhere within 6 inches of the edge of the table as well. Now for the surprise attack roll on this one, what ends up happening is that you roll a d6 for each of the fighters on the tabletop. If they manage to pass their cool test, they'll be able to perform 2 actions. If they fail their cool test though, they only get to perform 1 action in this battle report as well. Now the idea here is that you're trying to score as many victory points as possible by taking enemy fighters out of action. You earn 3 points for leader, 2 points for champion, and 1 point for any other fighter as well. And at the same time, you also get d3 points for being the last gang on the battlefield as well, so that's how we determine who the overall winner is. The victory conditions are that whoever has got the most points by the end of the battle report. For the rewards on this one, the winner earns d6 times 10 credits, while the loser earns d3 times 5 credits, and if both gangs end up in a draw, it ends up being d3 times 10 credits apiece. And don't forget, the low tide event is involved in this scenario, so because of that, you will get additional d6 times 10 credits. Now, as for experience, of course, you get 1 point of experience for participating in the battle report, as well as 1 for the winning gang leader, even if they didn't participate in the battle report. And of course, the standard conditions for experience gains also still count. As for reputation, the winner earns 2 points of reputation for winning. You get 1 point of reputation if this is the very first time that the gangs are fighting against each other, which is the case in this situation. And if any gang bottles out, they lose 1 point of reputation. So, with scenario rolls over with, let's talk about deployments real quick. Alright, so let's talk about deployment real quick. As you can see, we have our overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield, and we also have our graphics overlay as well to kind of help you guys understand how the fight is progressing throughout the battle report. The Everdam, which is the Corpse Grinder cult, are represented by the yellow fighters, as well as the blue fighters, the teal colored fighters, represented by the Sump Spiders. As you can see in this battle report, 10 members of the Corpse Grinder cult are present in this battle. Number 1 is Kargon, 2 is Boulevard, 3 is TE the Executioner, 4 is Griver the Hooded One, 5 is Cancer the Cleaver, 6 is the Initiate Choke, 7 is the Initiate Shade, 8 is the Initiate the Fireworm, 9 is the Warp Horror Vomitorius, and number 10 is Spinejack Slim, one of the Narcolords as well. As you can see, most of the fighters actually clustered right there in the middle of the tabletop within 2 inches of each other as well, while the Initiates of course use the Infiltrate special rule to basically occupy the northernmost tile on the tabletop. Meanwhile, the Sump Spiders of course have 5 fighters on the tabletop. We have Grimhilda, which is the Hunter Leader, represented by number 1, Correa number 2, Regimi number 3, 4 Madrick the Hellbane is number 4, and 5 is Legrun. As you can see, my sister pretty much spread out her forces on the northernmost tile, the leftmost tile, as well as the bottom tile as well, kind of capturing the Everdam in kind of like a semicircle attack. So here's a close-up of Kargon the Butcher, that is the leader's arm with a rotary flensing saw. To the left of him, to the bottom right-hand corner of him, of course, is Boulevard the Cutter, which is his cutter's arm with a chain glaive. In the center of the tabletop is TE the Executioner, with a Skinner's arm with a flail, as well as a Butcher's chain cleaver. Taking point along that walkway is Griver the Hooded One, which is a Skinner's arm with paired Butcher's chains cleavers. To the far right-hand side is Captain the Cleaver, which is a Skinner's arm with a 2-handed axe. The hulking monstrosity on the left-hand side of the table is Vomitorius, the Warp Horror, who's got 2 terrific claws, Warp Fire Breath, as well as undulating skin. And on the far left-hand side is Spinejack Slim, the Narco Scub, who's armed with a mesh armor, blast pistol, chainsaw, and also has filter plugs as well. Meanwhile, in the northernmost part of the battlefield, right smack down on the left-hand side, that is the Fireworm, which Initiate's got flak armor, Initiate's mask, hand flamer, as well as boning sword. In the middle of the tile, with their back directly towards that corner of the wall, is Shade, another Initiate's got flak armor, Initiate's mask, stub gun, as well as a flensing knife. And on the far right hand side is Choke, another Initiate's got flak armor, Initiate's mask, hand flamer, as well as a Butcher's cleaver. As for the Sump Spiders on the left hand side, that's Regimi Zantai, which is a Chikara Spire Hunter. It's got a Chikara hunting rig with mirror shield as well as a Naga blade. They're also packing photo goggles as well as a respirator. In the center of the board on that walkway is Meldrick Hellbane. That is the Abyssal Ferryman Skipper. It's got mesh armor, an Archaeotech pistol, as well as a respirator, and a whole slew of different skills. And right in front of him is Legrun, the Abyssal Ferryman rig hand. He's got light carapace armor, as well as the paired weapon, hook, line, and sinker. He's also packing respirator as well. On the southernmost tile from the Zone Mortalis battlefield is Correa Amir Elanti, which is a Yelled Spire Hunter. They got Yelled Hunting Rig with Yelled Missile Gauntlets, paired Yelled Missile Gauntlets, as well as Yelled Wings. They also got a photo goggles as well as a respirator. And located in the far left tile, of course, is Grimhilda Cage Catalyst, the Hunt Master. She's got a level 1 Sovereign Hunting Rig with Malkadon Toxic Whip. She's also got Weapon Siders as well as Yelled Missile Gauntlet. She's also got a Grapnel Launcher, Drop Rig, as well as Photo Goggles and a Respirator. And she's located on the left-hand side of the battlefield. So with deployment over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 1, and my friends roll off for priority to see which of them has initiative. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1, and the Spire Hunting Party managed to get the initiative on this one, so because that Shade will be activating first. And as you can see, we have our colors on both left-hand side and right-hand side. Once again, the yellow represents the Everdamned of the Corpse Grinder cult, while the teal represent the Sump Spiders of the Spire Hunters. So for my sister's very first activation, she decides to activate Reggie Santai, which is represented by the fighter number 3 on the tabletop. As you can see, the fighter on both the map as well as the key on the right-hand side has been grayed out to represent the fact that they have been activated. And as you can see, here's a close-up of Regimi Santai. She's a Chikara Spire Hunter. She's, of course, outfitted to kill with the best close combat weapons and really close combat stats. And she decides to declare a charge directly against the Fireworm, who's located right in front of her. She doesn't really have to really roll for the charge distance because she's going to make it anyways. But needless to say, though, the Regimi Santai, the Chikara Hunter, goes right into the back of the Fireworm. And here's a close-up of that map. As you can see, that little gray circle represented by the number 3 with that blue arrow shows you that she's kind of moving directly into the back of fighter number 8, which is the Fireworm. The Fireworm, of course, is Initiate, who's got an Initiate's Mask as well as a Hand Flamer, also packing a Boning Sword 2 and the Infiltrate special rules. So this fighter, of course, is kitted out for close combat, so we're going to see exactly how this combat's going to go. Alright, so Majimi Janchai, of course, charged directly into the back of the Fireworm. She does have 3 attack base, and she also gets additional attack for charging as well, which gives her a grand total of 4 attacks in total. She also has a weapon skill of 2+, so in order to hit her target against the Fireworm, all she's got to do is roll 2 up 4 times. So because of that, 3 hits do manage to land directly against the Fireworm. One of them, of course, is a disarm hit as well, which means the Fireworm will not be able to attack with close combat attacks by rolling that 6. However, the Fireworm, of course, is armed with a Boning Sword, so because that Dark Lord Mech decides to make Shade re-roll the 6 that she rolled from one of her hits, basically goes back to re-roll those attacks and ends up being with 2 attacks total, just because that 1/6, of course, failed to hit as well. Now, that being said, though, Rajimi Santai is armed with a Naga Blade, which gives the versatile trait as well, and with combined her strength is her strength 5 with -1 AP as well as 2 damage as well. And against the Fireworm's toughness of 3, Rajimi Santai is going to need a 2+ to wound. As you can imagine, Rajimi Santai has no problem putting those 2 wounds directly through the toughness of the Fireworm. Now, because of the Naga Blade's -1 AP, of course, the Fireworm does not actually get an armor save on this one. So because of that, actually inflicts 4 damage in total directly against the Fireworm. The Fireworm goes directly out of action as well and rolls an out cold result on top of that, so because the Fireworm will no longer participate in the battle report, but he will basically stick around in order to make a full recovery later on. So here's an overhead shot of the mini-map on the tabletop. As you can see, the player number 8 on the yellow side, which is the Fireworm, has been blacked out and the name has been highlighted in red, and that is to indicate the fact that the Fireworm is now out of action and will no longer be participating in this battle report. And because Spyrer Hunters are not deadly enough, they also have the special rule Enhanced Reflexes, which gives them another set of activations. So Shade once again decides to move forward with Rajimi Santai and activates again. She does a simple movement to move directly to the right hand side of the battlefield, her maximum movement allowance. That way she's got a clear line of sight directly across the tabletop towards Choke, and does a basic action open fire with her Mirror Shield at that Initiate. Choke is an Initiate who's got flak armor as well as an Initiate's Mask as well as a Hand Flamer and Butcher's Cleaver, and he's also got the Infiltrate special skill as well, which is actually a pretty good move for my sister Shade to target that fighter because he does manage to hit him with that Mirror Shield or remove his ready activation marker, so that way he can't use his template attack directly against Magic Hellbane as well as Legrun. So here's an overhead shot of the mini-map just to give you guys an idea of how the action is progressing on the battlefield. As you can see, Rajimi Santai is that fighter that's grayed out, fighter number 3, and she moves directly down the top of the battlefield, directly to the upper hand corner, so that way she can open fire with her Mirror Shield against Choke. So she is firing her Mirror Shield, which is a -1 to hit because of the long range modifier, because she is hitting at the maximum range of that weapon as well. Now Rajimi Santai does have a ballistic skill of 4+, so when combined with that -1 to hit from the long range, she has to roll a 5 up in order to hit land a shot with that Mirror Shield against Choke. And as crazy as it may sound, she does manage to hit that target as well, which is quite surprising. Now the Mirror Shield does have the Energy Shield weapons trait, and it also has Flash. It doesn't actually cause damage, but what it does do though is that it requires your enemy to pass an initiative test, and if they fail that initiative test, they lose a ready marker. So because of that, she manages to hit Choke. Choke has initiative 4+, so because of that, he needs to make that roll, but unfortunately for my friend Dark Lord Mac, he fails that initiative test, so because of that, Choke does lose his ready marker because of that. So it could have been a lot worse. It could have been something like a damaging type weapon, but then again, taking away your enemy's ability to do ready markers, just as devastating, if not more so. So here's an overhead shot of that mini-map showing that the yellow fighter number 6, represented by Choke, is also grayed out as well, and that's represent the fact that this character has been activated because he lost his ready markers for being shot with the Mirror Shield. So for Dark Lord Mac's activation, he actually does a group activation, activating his Cutter Bolivar as well as his Brute, the Warp Porter Vomitorius as well, and they said they could make double movements heading directly towards Correa, Emir, Alanti as well. Now I did forget to take a picture of the close-up of those fighters, so I do apologize. The only photo I did take though was showing them their movement allowance. So as you can see, both those fighters do double movement allowance going along the top of the wall from the bridge along that catwalk directly towards Korea Emir Ulanti. Vomitorius, of course, is traveling a full 12 inches because he's got a 6-inch movement allowance. At the same time, closely behind by 10 inches of Boulevard because Boulevard also has a 5-inch movement allowance as well. And here's a close-up of the overhead mini-map. As you can see, the yellow arrows kind of showing you the path that they basically took, making their way along that walkway directly towards Korea Emir Ulanti. And as you can see, fighter number 2 as well as fighter number 9 on the yellow side have both been grayed out because they have been activated. So in response to this, Shade decides to activate Korea Emir Ulanti, her yelled Spyrer Hunter, because she's not going to just kind of stand around and wait for these guys to come at her and basically put the hurt on her, not when she has wings and she can fly away. Here's an overhead shot of the entire battlefield. As you can see, teal fighter number 2, Korea, represented by that little grayed out circle, has been grayed out because she has been activated. And for her very first action of her activation, she decides to take a simple action to fly directly to the right-hand side, landing on top of some crates on the bottom right-hand corner. That way she still maintains line of sight with her yelled missile gauntlets against Vomitorius as well as Boulevard, but puts her in a better situation so that way she can't be directly charged against. And there's a close-up of the mini-map showing you exactly how she flew from that bridge on the left-hand side directly to the top of the crates there on the bottom right-hand corner of the mini-map. So Korea does have paired missile gauntlets, which allows her to rapid fire her missile gauntlets directly into Vomitorius. Vomitorius, of course, is the most deadly of the threat of the two fighters present. He's got strength 6, he's got 2 horrific appendages, warp fire breath, as well as undulating skin. So she decides to do prioritize her targeting directly against Vomitorius. So even though she cleared her basic action open fire directly on Vomitorius, Vomitorius is actually protected by the terrifying special rule, which means that Korea Emir Ulanti has to pass a willpower test before she can fire her teared yelled missile gauntlets. Now Korea Emir Ulanti does have a willpower of 6+, and she needs a 6+ to pass, which she does no problem whatsoever. So with her paired yelled missile gauntlet, she does have knockback as well as rapid fire traits directly onto her weapon, and with a ballistic skill of 2+, she's got no problem whatsoever landing those shots directly against Vomitorius, so she needs a 2+ in order to hit. Now she does manage to hit twice with the rapid fire skill directly against Vomitorius, at the same time also triggers knockback as well, so that part is quite good. She's got a strength of 5 as well as 1 damage with the paired missile gauntlets, and Vomitorius has a toughness of 4, so she's going to need to throw you up in order to wound this guy. She does manage to land 2 wounds directly against Vomitorius. However, though, Vomitorius' undulating skin ability actually takes away wounds caused by multiple attacks, and so because it only suffers 1 wound at that same time. Not to mention, he also managed to escape his pinning test because he does have nerves of steel, so he managed to pin that no problem, and he also avoids from falling off by passing his initiative test, so Vomitorius is still on that little rickety little bridge. The only problem, of course, is that Vomitorius is suffering a wound on that one, so he's got 2 more wounds left before he potentially goes out of action. However, there is more to be done, and the reason why is because of the enhanced reflex ability. So because that Korea Emir Ulanti does have the chance to actually do another set of movements and or shooting if she wants to. But instead of shooting, Shade probably figures that, caution is better part of valor, so she decides to do a double movement with Korea Emir Ulanti by moving her 16 inches using a double movement using her fly ability in order to fly directly to the bridge on the right hand side. That way she's out of the charge arcs of any of these corpse grinder cultists. She's far away, but yet at the same time though, she can still maintain overwatch with her paired yellow missile gauntlets and still engage her enemies at a distance. So as a close-up of the mini-map, as you can see that long blue arrow as she rockets away from that little stack of crates and makes directly to the right-hand side of the tabletop, kind of catching the ever damned and kind of a full envelopment with all of her fighters being spread around them. So Dark Lord Mac decides to do a group activation using Kargon to give a group activation to Griver as well as TE, his 2 additional skinners, and all these fighters decide to make double movements directly towards the Summit Spiders, so that way they're out of the center of the tabletop and they can make their way directly towards the Spyrer Hunters, so that way they can engage them in close combat. So here's an already shot of the mini-map. As you can see, fighters number 1 as well as number 3 and 4 on the yellow side have been grayed out, and that's represent the fact that these guys have been group activated. So here's a close-up after their double movements. As you can see, Kargon decided to take the center with T the Execution going on the left-hand side, as well as Griver the Hooded One going on the right-hand side as well. That way they can jump down from the walls they need to and start engaging the some spiders who are right in front of them. And as you see on this mini-map, you see all three fighters move quickly as they can across that bridge directly to the wall facing off the Sump spiders on the far northern edge of the battlefield. So in response to that, Shade decides to activate her leader, Grimhilda Cage Cattle, as her Hunt Master as well. Now this Hunt Master is kitted out to kill. She does have a good combination of close combat attacks as well as shooting attacks. She does have a Malkadon Toxic Whip, so that weapon does have the Toxin trait as well as versatile. She also has Weapon Sizers, so that way she can use webbing as for a sidearm attack. She has a Yelled Missile Gauntlet, which is a quite powerful shooting attack with great long distance. She's got grapnel launchers and drop rigs in order to deal with vertical distances. She's also got photo goggles, respirators. This lady is kitted out to kill. And as you can see from this grayed out of this overhead shot of the tabletop, on the left hand side, fighter number 1, which is the teal fighter for Grimhilda for the Sump spiders, has been grayed out because she has been activated. So for her very first activation, Shay decides to have Grimhilda take a basic action open fire with her missile gauntlet directly to the back of T the Execution, who's right across from her as well. He is a skinner, so he's actually quite deadly in close combat, but as far as toughness though, he's his normal toughness 3. Now he does have a plate mail as well as a skinner's mask, but since he's being shot from behind, that bonus from the plate mail isn't really going to come into effect this time around. So because of that, Grimhilda Cage Catalyst opens fire at TE the Executioner with a Yelled Missile Gauntlet. She does have a ballistic skill of 3-up in order to hit him. There is no modifier for short range, so she just needs a 3-up in order to hit. Not only does she manage to hit T the Executioner, but she also triggers knockback as well. So because of the Yelled Missile Gauntlet will now strike at strength 5 with 2 damage this time instead of 1, and at the same time TE will also be pushed forward 1 inch from the knockback ability as well. Now TE the Execution only has a toughness characteristic of 3+, so because of that, Grimhilda Cage Callus is a 3+ in order to wound. The attack does wound, but of course T the Execution does get an armor save. He does lose 1 point of armor save, however, though, because he doesn't get the bonus from the plate mail for being shot in the front forward arc, because he's being shot from the back. So because his armor does shot up to a 5+, he rolls his D6 in order to try to save, but unfortunately for Dark Lord Mac, TE does fail his armor save, so because of that he does get 2 damage directly into the back. When they come to the injury dice, they manage to roll 2 serious injuries directly to T the Executioner. As you can see, fighter number 3 has a red circle around it, and they represent the fact that character has suffered a serious injury. And even though this guy has taken a serious injury, though, he does get rocketed forward 1 inch because of the knockback rule. Unfortunately, this triggers a chain of events and a bad series of unfortunate events at that. T the Executioner goes pushed forward off the wall and lands directly on top of Shade, so because it does cause an impact against that fighter. So as you can see on the little mini map here, TE does get pushed off the wall, lands directly onto Shade, which is represented by player number 7, which is the yellow 7 for this gang. Now because of the fall, the impact that he also managed to hit as well, it does wound him and it also puts him out of action. However though, when he rolls up for the injury though, he does roll a 12, which is the impressive scars injury, which basically means he makes a full recovery, and at the same time also gets +1 to his cool characteristic, so that part is kind of cool as well. Now because he does get taken out of action, it means all the fighters who are within range of him do have to take a cool test to see if they stick around or not. Kargon does manage to pass his cool test, so he does manage to stick around, and because he passes cool test, River also faces his cool test as well, so they are standing on the ground, they're not leaving anywhere. So as you can see on the little mini map here, TE has been blackened out, so because of that he is no longer on the tabletop, and his name has also been highlighted in red, so that way you know that he's no longer participating in this battle report. However, this is where disaster strikes, because unfortunately the impact also wounded Shade, and unfortunately for my little Shade, so unfortunately for Dark Lord Mac, when he rolls for the armor save on it, he does fail the armor save, so he rolls an injured dice, and unfortunately he rolls an out of action result on top of that, meaning that he gets an out cold result within 22. So because of that, Shade will no longer be participating in this battle report, but he will make a full recovery as well. And of course this also does another round of triggering of cool tests. Kargon and Griver both pass their cool test, with Kargon passing his, and since Griver is within 12 inches, he also managed to survive that as well. So that part was quite insane. However, the punches aren't done running because Grimhilda also benefits from the enhanced reflex ability. And all that craze that we just saw earlier was only just her first activation as well. By the way, if you notice, player number 70 is also blacked out as well. That's Shade, which is the initiate for the Corpse Grinder cult. That fighter is blackened out because, and his name highlighted in red because he was taken out of action. And for Shade's second action, because all that crazy was just her first basic action, she does a simple action to move up her maximum move allowance of 6 inches directly towards Spinejack Slim, which is the narco scum who's guarding the left-hand side of that bridge. And of course, Shade's also going to activate again because of enhanced reflexes. So here's an overhead shot of the little mini-map. As you can see, player number 1, which is Grimhilda, does rocketing right across the left-hand side of the battlefield on the little walkway, making directly to the bridge in the center of the map. So Grimhilda decides she's going to do a fight basic action with her Malcolm Toxic Whip, using the versatile trait of that attack directly against Spinejack Slim. Now Spinejack Slim is a narco scum, but he's actually kitted out to kill. He's got mesh armor, he's got a last pistol as well as chain sword, he's also got filter plugs, so it's not like he's some slouch that's going to be, just taking the damage in this close combat. So because of that, Shade decides to launch her attack with Grimhilda. Now, Grimhilda only gets 3 attacks base, and the reason why is because she is not charging, she's doing a normal fight action as well. But the Malcolm Toxic Whip does have a 2-inch versatile trait with Entangle as well as Toxin as well. And because of that, Grimhilda also has a 2+ weapon skill, so all she really needs to do is roll a 2-up in order to hit against Spinejack Slim. All 3 attacks do manage to hit Spinejack Slim as well, and at the same time, because of the Entangled special rule, she does manage to entangle the chainsword that Spinejack Slim carries, so because he won't be able to parry any of those attacks. Now, all 3 attacks do hit. Now, we don't roll for strength and wounding. The reason why is because the Malcolm Toxic Whips have the Toxin special trait, so because of that, all she needs to do, of course, is roll a 4-up in order to wound this character and start putting injury rolls because of the Toxin trait. She does manage to put 2 wounds directly onto Spinejack Slim, and when she rolls to see exactly what the injuries are, she rolls 2 serious injuries as well. Now, unfortunately for Spinejack Slim, though, things are getting much more complicated here in a second. So as I already shot of the little mini-map, as you can see, fighter number 10, Spinejack Slim, has been read out. The reason why is because he's suffering a serious injury, and he's currently laying on the cold hard decking, slowly bleeding out and succumbing to the toxins that are coursing through his veins. But as I mentioned before, things are going to be more complicated for Spinejack Slim. He does have to take an initiative test to see if he falls off the bridge, and unfortunately for my buddy Dark Lord Mac, he does fail that initiative test, so because of that, Spinejack Slim goes crashing to the ground like a meteor, goes kersplat against the ground, gets wounded again, which goes through and fails his armor save. So because of that, Spinejack Slim does go out of action, but don't worry though, he makes a full recovery because he's part of an Alliance entourage. So here's an overhead shot from the minimap. As you can see, player number 10, Spinejack Slim, has been blacked out because he went out of action. At the same time, his name has also been read out as well. So as you can see, things are not looking too good for the Everdamned. And this is just for round 1 of the game. TE, Shade, the Fireworm, as well as Spinejack Slim are all out of action. And Vomitorius also have 1 of his 3 wounds also taken off of him. And it's crazy as it may sound, that fight action that Grimhilda Cage Catalyst did earlier was only 1 of her actions during this activation. So for her second action, she's going to open fire with a Yellow Missile Gauntlet directly into Vomitorius, who is directly to her right. So once again, she does have to pass a willpower test because of Vomitorius' terrifying rule. Grimhilda Cage Catalyst does have a 6+ willpower, so because of that, she managed to pass that no problem. So because of that, she'll be able to fire her Yellow Missile Gauntlet directly at the Warp Horror. When it comes to her Ballista skill, she does have Ballista skill 3+. There is no modifier for short range, so she has to roll 3 to hit, which she does. She only managed to get 1 hit directly against Vomitorius, but she does trigger knockback, so because of that, the Yellow Missile Gauntlet now is striking at strength 5 with 2 damage. Now Vomitorius' toughness is toughness 4, so because of that, she will need to roll a 3 up to wound, but unfortunately for my little sister Shade though, Grimhilda Cage Catalyst failed her wound roll. However, because the knockback rule, Vomitorius does fall back 1 inch, and he does fall off the bridge and lands directly onto the ground. He doesn't get wounded by doing that, and he also manages to escape pinning as well with his Nerves of Steel skill, so because of that, he's still on his feet and can still cause all kinds of problems later. And just like that, finally, after so many photos, Grimhilda Cage Catalyst's activation is now over. So not to be outdone by these some Spyrer hunters, my friend Darklord Mac decides to activate his very last fighter, which is Capture the Cleaver. That's the fighter on the far right hand side, represented by the grayed out number 5. So Captain the Cleaver is a Skinner. He does have a two-handed axe as well. So because that Darklord Mac decides to do double movements with this character moving into the right-hand side, trying to close the distance with Kureya Amir Ulanti, which is the Yield Spire Hunter of the Swamp Spiders. As you can see on this close-up as well, Captain Cleaver, of course, is sprinted across that bridge directly next to the other footbridge where Kureya Ulanti is located at as well. So here's an overhead shot of the minimap. As you can see, player number 5, which is Captain Cleaver, and you can see that yellow line there as it just dashes directly to the right-hand side, trying to close the distance with Kureya Amir Ulanti so that he could potentially strike out on next turn. The idea is that hopefully if he wins initiative next turn, Darklord Mac can then send Captain Cleaver directly into Kureya and start smashing her down with that two-handed axe. And with that, Darklord Mac has no more fighters left to activate. The only people left on the tabletop that can do anything are the Sump Spiders. So because that Shade does a group activation with Magic Hellbane, her Abyssal Ferryman Skipper, as well as Lagroon, who's the Abyssal Ferryman Righand, and those guys did a group activation together. So here's a close of Meldrick Hellbane, the Abyssal Ferryman Skipper. As you can see, he's represented by the little fighter there, the Electromaester there on the left-hand side. That's the procs I use for that fighter for this campaign. Just because, you know, we don't want to spend money on my channel because we are cheapskates after all. And as you can see, we have that Drakskewer character, Kazgan Drakskewer character from Thunder's Privateers. He's going to represent Lagrun because he's got that huge Skyhook spear thing, and it kind of looks like what the character is using. So with her first activation, Shade decides to actually have Lagrun declare a charge directly against Choke. She rolls her d6 to determine how far this character goes, rolls a 2 on that one, which is then 7 inches, and when combined with the 2-inch versatile trait of the Hook, Line, Sinker, she is of course more than capable of actually closing the distance and getting engaged in close combat with Choke. So here's an overhead shot of the minimap. As you can see, player number 5 has been grayed out, which is represented by Lagrun. Of course, charges directly into player number 6, which is Choke, which is the Initiate. Choke, of course, is the Initiate with the Corpse Grinder Cult. He's got a flak armor as well as Initiative Mask. He's also packing a Hand Flamer as well as a Butcher's Cleaver. So with the versatile trait attached to his weapon, Lagrun has 2 attacks base. He gets +1 for charging as well as +1 for carrying an additional hand weapon with the Hook, Line, and Sinker. And because that weapon does have the paired trait, that rockets it up with ×2 on those attacks, giving Lagrun a grand total of 8 attacks in total. Also with a 2-inch versatile trait as well. Now luckily for my friend Darklord Mac, the Lagrun's weapon skill is average at weapon skill 4. So because it takes 8, my sister takes 8 dice, rolls her for 8d6, and she has a 4 up in order to hit. Of the 8 attacks rolled, only 4 do manage to hit directly against Choke. However, the Hook, Line, and Sinker though is no joke. Lagrun is striking at strength 6 with -1 AP as well as 2 damage, and going up against Choke's toughness of only 3+, Shade only needs to roll a 2 up in order to wound against Choke. She rolls her 46 and manages to wound all 4 times as well. Now Choke, when suffering the AP penalty, does have an armor save of 6+. However though, only to manage to save 1 of those hits, the other 3 make it through for a grand total of 6 damage dice in total. Needless to say, Choke does go out of action, no problem. He also suffers a hit injury as well, so because it will go into recovery, and to make matters worse, he will lose 1 point to his intelligence as well as his willpower as well. So things are not looking very good right now for Darklord Mac. So here's an overhead shot of the minimap. As you can see, player number 6, represented by Choke, has gone out of action. That's why his circle has been blacked out and his name highlighted in red as well. So as you can see on this battle report so far, my buddy Darklord Mac has suffered 5 out of action results as well, while these Sump Spiders have suffered none up to this point. Which then brings us to Magic Hellbane. Now Magic Hellbane, of course, is going to do a basic action to aim with his Archaeotech pistol directly against Griver. The reason why is because of that weird angle that he's shooting at. Typically speaking, that pillar obscures Griver half of his body. So because he is in partial cover because of that. So due to that partial cover benefit, Magic Hellbane does lose a -1 hit penalty for that. But with a Blitz skill of +2 and combined with his aim basic action, that's not really going to cause all kinds of problems. Griver, on the other hand, is armed with plate mail as well as Skinner's Mask. He also got Parrot Butcher's Chain Cleavers. He's also got the Berserker skill as well. So this shot is very important for Magic Hellbane, because if he does manage to hit Griver, he won't be able to have to worry about that guy charging at him next turn. Still, Magic Hellbane is targeting Griver. Now with his Archaeotech Pistol, he gets +1 to hit because of his aim basic action, and also -1 to hit because of the partial cover. So because of those two bonuses, do manage to cancel each other out. He does have Rapid Fire 1 as a weapon, and he does have a Ballistic skill of 2+. I do apologize, I put down WS there. I do apologize by that, but it's supposed to be a 2+ on that one. So because of that, he just needs to basically roll a 2-up in order to hit with Rapid Fire. So he does manage to land 3 separate shots by rolling 3 on the rapid fire dice. So all 3 go directly into the chest of Griver. He is firing an Archaeotech Pistol, which means he has a strength of 5 with -2 AP and also causes 2 damage as well. Now Griver only of course has a toughness of 3, so because of that, Magic Hellbane needs to roll a 3+ in order to wound. And Magic Hellbane managed to wound all 3 times as well. Now Griver does have armor save, but he unfortunately loses it to a 6+ because of the -2 AP damage from the Archaeotech Pistol. Not only does it eat through the armor that Griver already has, but also manages to take away the bonus he gets from being shot from the front as well. So Griver of course has to roll 3 D6 and get a 6+ on all 3 of those. Unfortunately for my buddy Dark Lord Mac, he does fail his armor save, all 3 of those for Griver, so because of that, Griver does take 6 damage. Needless to say, all 6 damage ended up being 6 flesh wounds, as you can believe it or not. So because of that, this guy does go out of action for all 6 of those flesh wounds. When they roll up on the injury table for this guy, they roll 31, which is convalescence. So because of that, Griver will miss out his next battle report because he is in recovery. And as you can see from this overhead shot from the minimap, player number 4, which is Griver, has now been blacked out as well, and his name highlighted in red because he is now out of action. And just like that, 6 members of the Everdamned have been taken out of action the very first round of the game. So with the action phase over with, we go directly to the end phase. And the very first thing Dark Lord Mac has to do during the end phase is to take a bottle test. And unfortunate for him though, when he rolls a d6, he rolls quite high, so because he does fail his bottle test, which means now that all of his fighters do have to take cool tests to see if they stay on the tabletop. Kargon goes first because he's leader with a cool of +5, he has no problem staying on the battlefield. However, what is not fine, however, though, is Cancel the Cleaver fails his cool test. He's got a cool 7+. I believe he rolled like a 5 or a 4, so because that Cancel the Cleaver does flee the tabletop. Boulevard with his cool characteristic 6+ also fails well, rolls Snake Eyes on that one, so because of that, he does automatically flees the battlefield as well, so he doesn't confer any bonuses for poor Vomitorius is down below him. And unfortunately, Vomitorius also fails the bottle test as well, so he goes fleeing off the tabletop as well. So because that, Vomitorius is now gone, leaving Kargon the Butcher all by himself to represent the Everdamned. So as you can see on this overhead shot, this is the end of turn number 1. Boulevard, Cancel the Cleaver, as well as Vomitorius, they have been whited out on their circles, and that's represent the fact that these guys have turned tail and they ran off the tabletop because they want to have any of the business coming their way. As you can see, we have one lone member of the Everdamned, which is Kargon, standing by himself, and he's completely surrounded on 3 sides by these Sump Spiders as well. So as you can imagine, only one fighter left on the battlefield. Dark Lord Mac decides to kind of call at this point and voluntarily bottles out, at the same time earning a second victory for the Spyrer Hunters of the Sump Spiders. So that being said, folks, we'll go directly to the post game because this battle report is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Alright, now it's time for the post game. This is the part of the battle report where we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the after action report for battle report number 7, and unfortunately for my buddy Dark Lord Mac, the Everdamned lost this battle report, so let's talk about what happened to his gang. For his injuries, Shade, the Fireworm, as well as Spinejack Slim, all got out cold results, because they make full recoveries, no problem. TE, the Executioner, also suffered impressive scars, and got +1 to his cool characteristics. Now he's only cool 6+ now, and actually makes a full recovery from that. Griver, on the other hand, goes into convalescence, so he does go into recovery. And Choke, the Initiate, did suffer hit injury, so he loses 1 point to his willpower as well as his intelligence, and he also goes in recovery as well. As for advancements, no members of this gang advance at this time, and from their territories, from their summit, they earn 1 point reputation, as well as manage to drum up 30 credits. Now for their alliance with the Narco Lords have their drawback, which is payment due. My buddy Dark Lord Mac rolls a D3 times 10 credits penalty. Actually only has to pay 20 credits in order to maintain his alliance with the Everdamned, and he decides to do so just because those Narco Lords are worth their weight in gold in terms of their narco scum helping out his gang. Now from the trading post, you manage to earn 30 credits from the settlement as well as 5 from the scenario. Also earns another 50 credits due to the low tide sub event, which means that every gang automatically receives D6 times 10 credits. I also combines it with the 35 credits from his stash, gives a grand total of 120 credits in total. With those 120 credits, he paid 20 credits directly to the Narco Lords for the payment due special rule, and he takes the other 100 credits left over and he puts it directly into his stash. For his reputation, he has 1 point of reputation from his settlement, as well as 1 point of reputation from fighting against the Sump Spiders for the very first time. However, though, he does lose 1 point of reputation for bottling out, which brings his grand total of 6 points of reputation in total. His new record now is at 1 win as well as 2 losses, and his new gang rating now is at 2,060 points. As for the Sump Spiders didn't suffer injuries in this battle report, so they are perfectly fine. As for advancements, Grimhilda Cage Catalyst actually advanced quite a bit. She decided to spend a bunch of her coins, I think 12 points in total, in order to choose the Infiltrate skill from the Cunning skill tree, which is her secondary skill, and she added that to her leader as well, and also increased her credit value by 35 credits. Now from their territories, they did a Terror Purge because they won this battle report, which gave all their fighters 2 experience points on top of that. Now for alliance, she still maintains the alliance with the Abyssal Ferryman team, so that way they act as their vehicle for them, so nothing much goes on there. At the same time, from the trading post, because their terror level went to level 5, they automatically recruit a Caryatid Prime named Fortune's Grace, and they actually paired up that exotic beast with Grimhilda Cage Catalyst, and now they have a Caryatid Prime running around with this gang as well. Now from the terror level, they were able to get +1 for Censure because it took out at least 4 enemies who went out of action in this game, as well as Lightning Ray because 1 or more enemy fighters were taken out of action within the first round of the game, giving another additional point of terror, giving them 5 total points in terror. Their new record now is at 2 wins and 0 losses, and a new gang rating now is at 1,770 points. So there you guys have it. That's battle report number 7 in the books. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is invaluable to us as always. And don't forget, our community event is still open for the entirety of the internet community in order to engage in this wonderful setting set up by Dr. Drybrush as well as myself. So if you guys end up doing projects or battle reports of your own, please let us know. Send us a line through the emails or in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys and include you within our overall campaign. So I'm Commander Cheapskate. That's good for this one. I will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.